Oh, sorry. Yeah, warning, blah, blah, blah. We may swear. Watch your kids. Hide your kids. We're here. Welcome to Golden Guys. Just like the Golden Girls without all the sex appeal, we are back to here to talk about Golden Age comics and all sorts of fun, festive, wanted, and jungles and jumbos and all sorts of straight arrows and everything ready to go to today. We may have a list today, Knights. We have a good list.
No.
No, nothing. Okay, no worries.
Topic.
Well, plenty to talk about. I put everybody on the spot. Sorry, I should have checked my phone. First things first. I'm on last couple of weeks. Last week was a little different week, so we'll show some stuff. We'll talk about that. But one of the things I want to talk about, I want to thank everybody who was on last week and who participated in our faucet discussion. I was hopefully maybe you guys, the two guys here, would talk a little bit about faucet. If I could turn the mic on you two guys or turn the camera on you two guys for a little bit. I'm going to step back from it. And you guys tell me, if you want, discuss what we were talking about last week about faucet. I mean, your thoughts on it and collecting, what to do and stuff. Yep, you're a big fan, so let's go. I'm going to step back and go ahead.
Well,
I think, go ahead, Paul.
I was here last week, so
Oh, nice. Go ahead.
I used to have some Shazam, Captain Marvel stuff. It's usually a lot cheaper than you can get a lot of great covers, a lot of great war covers for way cheaper than, like, say, Superman. So that was pretty fun. And then at some point I had to sell some stuff. So the only ones I got were the two first Miss Mary Marvel in her own solo, which I really disliked the cover of her first appearance. So I went for these instead. And they're still pretty cheap. People want to charge more for them because they know what they are, but I think if you find them like at a con, they're not going to be too pricey. And Fawcett, there's like Master Comics, there's Auto Binder, Auto something. Does awesome covers for those. Yeah, I mean, if I could branch out, I would certainly buy a ton of Fawcett stuff.
I think they're still undervalued for what they are.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is, and they're not public domain, but I feel like there might be some Fawcett characters that are public domain.
I think some of them are.
Yeah, some reason
I haven't seen anything in Bullet Man.
I think Bullet Man is. I think Ibis is.
Yeah. Well, no, Ibis is a property though that showed up with Wiz, so yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. So
yeah, I don't really know too much about Fawcett because I know some of the titles that you guys just mentioned, and last week I watched the replay, but it's not stuff I generally go after. I don't have any of that in my collection. There's very limited amount of Fawcett, like pre-code horror stuff. Beware Terror Tales, I think, is a Fawcett. And I think this magazine is haunted.
Yeah, this magazine is haunted.
And I've had a couple of both of those titles. I currently only have one, Beware Terror Tales, and no Magazine is Haunted ones. Those are the only ones where I sort of dabble into Fawcett because the Mary Marvel, the Master Comics, the Wiz, all that stuff. It's not really something I collect. So it was good to hear you guys talking about it last week because it was almost all that was new to me because I'm not a Fawcett guy, and you had Legend on there, and I know he has some major heavy hitter Fawcett books. Yeah, it was educational for me. That's one area, one publisher I don't really know that much about.
Did you know the answer to that one question that I've heard that for Beware Terror Tales, that was the first horror host in a book that was consistent throughout a book?
You mean before the Crypt Keeper?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was not available to look it up at the time, and I forgot to look it up. But what I was thinking of, there was a Charlton title called Thing, and they had a narrator also who was called, he was the Thing, and he was the narrator.
Right.
And I think the earliest issue of Thing predated the earliest issue of that, but I'm not 100%. But those would be my two guesses. Would be the Thing and that one. But I think they both predated EC with the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, and they're probably within a month or two of each other.
Yeah, I know the Thing series started in '52.
Crypt Keeper.
Beware Terror Tales was around 52 or 53 too, I think. So I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, and I didn't.
I don't know. Journey into Fear was 1951 by Avon, and that had a character that reappeared from the first issue into the later issues. But I think the later issues might have been right around the 52, 53 time. That was some early Baker horror. If you don't know that Journey into Fear run, it's pretty. They're kind of rare. I think it's Avon Publishing. Not really sought after, really cheap, crappy books, But it's Matt Baker early stuff inside, and sometimes on the cover, it's one of those. But that's one that if you're gonna go that route, I wanted to shut out the chat before we jumped on anything here. Right off the bat, Chris Barrett, we can have a show. Thank you very much for being here, Mark BKR90. What are you eating, Mark? What's going on? Gerald Glaza, good evening. Good evening to you. Stream Elements, always having here. Knights, of course, he's here. Samuel David, good having you here. Airboy the Barbarians, greetings to all you. Converting me to gold. Sell everything but my silver and early bronze. I think I have a sickness. Yes, it is. Welcome, one of us. Mr. Gretzky, 9966, always having you here. Good for you. Paulie decided to jump in the chat and say what? Okay, very nice. Airboy the Barbarian. I'm on the hunt for a few Airboys real quickly, by the way. I'm getting a con itch for this weekend. There's a local cons back again.
Oh, is it?
Yep. And we've got Brad here.
By the way, I just looked it up.
Hi, everyone.
If it's between the two of them, The Thing just beats it. The Thing number one
Right.
was February 1952, and Beware Terror Tales one was May 1952.
Yeah, but the magazine is Haunted had the same narrator as the Beware Terror Tales, and that started in '51.
Oh, yeah.
So that
That's
narrator
right.
was in both. I don't know if they called him Dr. Death in that.
Fawcett also had a whole Western run.
They're on the cover with the guy on there, so I think it's the same narrator in the magazine as Haunted. That was '51.
And don't forget, I think Fawcett is the one who had Hopalong Cassidy, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the longest running Westerns as well.
They had like 5 Westerns that went over 100 issues.
Gene Autry's and were they Gene Autry or was that Dell? Four color might have been Gene Autry.
They may have had Gene Autry.
Anyway, so yeah, Fawcett was a fun discussion right there. We're real excited about having there. So tonight we're going to show a few books, talk about a few things. Look at that, Dr. Death. I want to see. Oh, look at that.
And that's issue number 1 of this one, which was in October of '51. So that would predate the other 2 that we talked about.
So just I wanted to do a brief thing, and I don't know if anybody got a chance to look, but Comic Link has got their auction coming up this week. And just talking Golden Age only, I'm not going to get into the any of the art or anything else like that, but their winter featured auction is coming, and there's quite a few Captain America ones in Universal grades, including a 7.5.
Nice.
A Fantastic Four number 5, a 9.2. I'm just throwing that out there because I take that in a size 9.2. There is a pedigree for a Submariner and the Angel, but in reality, are we talking this auction is going to have some serious stuff in there? A lot of Action Comics. Is there anything? I mean, we have to tell. Is there any? I didn't see any of like the top ones. I saw much more heavy Silver Age this time. Anybody else?
I don't think I looked at that one. I just started looking at I think it was either Heritage or Comic Connect that they have the Schomburg 5.0 number 3.
Oh,
The Suspense Comics 3.
that's Suspense 3.
That looks amazing.
Nice.
I think is that Heritage or is that Comic Connect?
Can't remember who it is on.
Looks like it's Heritage.
But it's okay. I wish they
5-0.
did better. But there's a few in here that are quite interesting. The Captain America ones in 7.5 is absolutely something I'm going to keep an eye on.
I can't hear you over this cover.
It is the book.
Yeah, I mean, that'll probably go. Well, I'm going to click on it and see what they say that Overstreet puts it at, just for fun.
What do you think?
4.0 value on Overstreet, 16.6.
Yeah.
24.
Okay. You think it would sell for a 16.6? Yeah.
Overstreet will sell for probably 75 grand.
I was gonna say 80.
At least 60.
I think it's gonna break 60.
And
60
it's
to
not
80.
just the book that it is, and it's not just that it's a 5.0. It's like there's actually a surprisingly high number of those, on the census, and there's only a few higher than the 5.0.
Right.
So you got everything. The super
one big copy,
top-tier book, a nice mid-grade, and then one of the highest graded copies. So it wouldn't surprise me if it went over 100. I wouldn't be super surprised, but I don't think it will crack 100. But it wouldn't totally surprise. If it hit like 106, I would not be blown away like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But 60 to 75, I think, rock solid.
I don't want to segue into the next topic. If this was 6 months ago, I might have been on the $100,000. But after what I saw what the Marvel sold for, and I think regardless of how great it was, I still think it's a little lower than it should have been. I think this doesn't break 100 for that reason alone, that it's going to stay in the 80 range. Unless two guys start going at it.
I was just going to say, unless there's a bid war.
Unless there's a bid war, which we've seen happen on LB Cole's Mask. I mean, that had to be a bid war. You know,
you've got 5.0 Mask ones going for 25,000. This is
right.
of something that's just, I mean, it's immeasurably bigger because for, the Dark GA category, I'm still calling it that. Dark GA, that's Suspense 3 is at the top. And the last one I saw sell that was over 100 was probably like a 9.2. It was a CBCS 9.2. Now that was probably 2 to 3 years ago, and that went for 175.
Was that the Magic Woo one?
I can't remember. There was two like back to back. There was like a 9.0 and a 9.2, pretty close to each other, CBCS. But I think the 9.2 sold for 175,000. And that was 2 to 3 years ago. So this would easily crack 100, but the market's been really down. But I don't know for that book if it even matters. I don't
know if it affects those big spenders too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I do think the big spenders are going to look at that, but they're going to look at that Suspense 3, and big spenders probably are looking at more than one auction going on right now.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was,
they would rather have, again, that I'm not saying Suspense 3 isn't the one to have, but that tech was one thing I was thinking about that was pretty well. No, that was the one, right? No, I was talking about the high grade one.
This is funny because so this is what's being offered, and this is why I love the CGC forums. They are their own detectives because they uncovered that it was a previous 1.0. God damn the glare on this stupid thing.
And what's the reason that it went up to a 1.5, they think? I mean, I know there's conspiracy theorists that think their CGC's in cahoots or got paid off to bump it up. But
well, they wrapped the cover a bit. Oops. They pushed the cover over and they added tape. And there's a bunch of people are like, oh, bent out of shape because tape is supposed to not, bump it up.
Well, what tape does is they grade the book as if the tape's not there. Like if you tape a piece back on, they'll grade the book as if that piece is there. and then they will note the tape. So if you have a detached cover on a book that's like a 5.0, they're going to give you a 4.0. If you tape the cover back on, you'll get a 5.0 because they'll grade it as if the tape's not there, and so it'll be as if the cover is attached, and they'll note the tape. You can bump the grade.
Not do that anymore.
Huh?
They were supposed to not do that anymore because a while ago everyone was taping everything just to get the bump, and then they decided not to do that. But
Well, I just did it too.
That this was cleaned as well, and you could see it does look a little nicer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to bump a 1.0 to a 1.5 if you know.
Yeah, it looks like they cleaned up the
Well,
white
that's
in
what
the
some-
banner.
Yeah, it looks nicer. I mean, it's not like they gave it a 2.5. I don't have a problem with it. The tape is more of a, for me, an ethical issue, but I don't mind tape. But I could see people getting bent out of shape for tape in a book. But I had that Blue Ribbon 13. I just sent it to CGC this week, and it had beautiful copy. It was a CBCS 5.0, but half of one page was detached. It was torn. One page in the center was torn off, and the piece is there, but it's detached from the book. So I carefully taped it back in, and I think CGC is going to grade it as if that page is attached, and I think I have a chance of getting the highest graded on that. But I mean, I added tape to it to bump the grade, but also to reattach that page because I don't feel like just leaving the page loose. So it's like the lesser of two evils. It's like a detached page or tape and attached. I'd rather have the tape and attached anyway, but yeah, I mean, there's big money in these books. I know people that are, consider buying slabs of Golden Age, low grade, with cover detached and split, but presents well, and cracking it out so that they can tape the cover back together and onto the book, and you can double the grade of the book, and that's a lot of money.
They also were saying, once again, because Heritage, like a lot of people were commenting on that Suspense, how awesome it looked, and then it got brought up again that they're kind of doing something to their scans that makes the colors look nicer. And they said it's because of the new slab, something about the depth of the label versus the depth of the book. They're like compensating for something, and that makes them adjust the color or something, but it looks better. And a lot of people are saying when they get the book, it doesn't look as vibrant as the scans.
They use skinny mirrors like in Seinfeld.
Yeah, I mean, people complain about Heritage photos all the time.
Cheers, all the Seinfeld people.
I've bought a lot off Heritage. I've looked at a lot of books on Heritage that I've then bought, and I don't know. It's so tough these days with filters and everything you can do with cameras.
It does make sense, though. I mean, I'm glad that they actually have a reason for it now, because it did seem to start right around those new slabs.
Yeah.
Because people weren't really bitching before.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of makes sense.
That kind of segues into the market, as we're saying, and the market is down a little bit. And I'm not saying don't be panic or what anything else like that, but it's a nice time for those of us that are buying lower graded books or whatever. It's getting pretty easy.
So wait, I want to say one thing about that repair tape.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but they, in the discussion with this detective and the tape, they were saying like how it's a shame that if the person who taped the cover together used some kind of restorative tape like that, it would maybe get a purple label, whereas if they use the crappy, just not restored normal tape, it stays universal. And that's
I don't think it would matter, but the difference is that this archival tape is not completely clear, and the Scotch tape is clear, so it affects the presentation on the cover. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience. This is what I used on my Blue Ribbon, and we'll see what they say. But I'm pretty sure I've checked with some people, and I've did my research, and I'm pretty sure they're just going to note tape on the label.
Let me show that so people that are interested in.
This is what I used after research and speaking to people sort of in the know, some experts, some people who have way more experience in the hobby and grading and taping than me. So this is what I chose. And it's my understanding that this will just get for my blue ribbon, we'll just get a note on the label that there's tape, but that I should still get a blue label. That's just coming from me. But this stuff is not clear. You can see on the bottom, that's sort of what it looks like when you put it on there. It's not clear. So, but mine's an interior page. I didn't use it on the cover. So,
Okay.
But it's acid free. It's pH neutral. So this is supposed to be good for paper. So I don't know. That's my experience. Take it for what it's worth. First time I've taped something specifically to submit. We'll see what happens.
I gotta get some.
I have sent a book in to have a restorer look at it, just because it's very old and it's from 1934, and I'd like to try to preserve it. And he talked about taping it, and he says if anything, when you get it graded, it will get a conserved grade is what his goal is. So his goal is to get a conserved grade. So
I need to get that tape for this corner right here in my Hulk.
does that go just on that edge, or is that if you take that out, is that going to remain?
I'm gonna have to tape it. Yeah, it's totally detached.
Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna have to tweezer that thing on.
Yeah, I would definitely. If you're going to use archival tape like I have, like this stuff, tape it on the inside. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yep. Other than that, it's
I
pretty.
wish I had that for my FF49 that Mylar ruined.
Everybody's got a Mylar ruined book story.
Man. I'm slowly subscribing to the. Now I got 4mm, 2mm, and I don't mind it because a lot of books I don't slab, so that's why I Mylar is okay.
Roll it in on the board. That's all.
Oh no, I didn't do anything recently. It's just the guy told me. I could just tell by looking at it that that's what some of the stuff is. But I did it way back when.
It is crazy, like though that this,
yeah,
is a 1.5, and it's like it's
the same book.
It's just crazy that books this low on the grade can. I mean, this will be at least what 20, maybe 30.
25,000.
Yeah, probably be 30 grand. I mean, it's not. It's a 1.5. It's blue and it looks sharp. I mean, for what?
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's thin to tear. Hang on, let me show it to everybody.
There. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything going on.
That's a good looking copy, man. It's not like some of them look like they were sitting in a pool of grease for 50 years.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And then they got run over by an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
Some actually.
That's like any number of late golden age books. I think that's all right, man.
I feel like it has that pressed look at the top here with these creases. Sometimes they just look too flat. Even though there's creases, it has that pressed feel. But other than that, I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks like they definitely cleaned that banner because that's very white.
And maybe there was a subscription crease. You can't really see here, but if you look at this scan on Heritage, you'll see it. But man, I'd love that book.
Look, that's if there is such a thing, that is an entry level copy of a Tech 31. If there is such a thing, there are people that want a Tech 31 but are not going to try to find the $500,000 copy. That's a good copy for a rich person who just wants a nice, solid entry-level copy of a major book.
I mean, for that grade, it presents
10.
really well.
But that's in the top 10 of the Golden Age.
It's a high grade.
It's probably the only non-first appearance books that would be if in the superhero era. It's probably the only. I think it's Superman 1 and Batman 1 outside of those two or number ones. I would throw absolutely Tech up there as the only other one that Batman's the only one with 3. Tech 27, Batman 1, and Tech 31, and that's it. Not even Tech 29 compares. Those are the only. That's the only superhero with 3. Superman's got 2. Wonder Woman's got 1. And that's it.
What are you saying in the top 10?
Yeah, absolutely. In the top 10 of the Golden
character who has 3 in the top 10, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Batman.
Gotcha. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, because of Tech 31. It's specifically that book it is such an awesome ridiculous cover. So
It's-
back to the chat.
it's-
C. Woodard's
It's
here.
iconic for sure.
Yeah. C. Woodard's here, and I did see TJ, the Slabdragon Watson. He was saying he likes the downturn. The downturn has been good for me. I did find something that I do want to share. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep everybody on his robots. And this is not in the bag. This is out, and it's raw. This is Lawbreakers Always Lose, number 3. This is pretty ridiculously hard to find. It is the first Buscema work. It's also 2 other people's first works, so I have to confirm those 2.
Other people.
It's ridiculously in good shape, and I couldn't believe I got a guy text me on eBay, says it's there. The interior is worse than the cover, and it's only because it's a little frayed. But it's got the first John Buscema work ever. That's 1948, April of 48. I mean, the colors, everything is really nice about this for April 1948.
Did he do the cover or inside?
No, he did the inside. I think it's Sid Shores is the cover. Or that could be, hang on.
How old was he?
19.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, let me look here. Yeah, if you look at Lawbreakers Always Lose, number 3. It's like a pain in the ass one to find. That's what they always talk about.
You say Buscema?
Buscema.
Buscema.
Yeah, John Buscema.
What nationality is that?
Italian. Giovanni Natali Buscema is his real name.
Buscema.
He's related to Sal Buscema too, right?
Salvatore's his brother, little brother.
They, for some reason,
And
because I
Stephanie is the granddaughter of John.
Who are
I've
you
never
trying to
seen-
confirm in the book?
I've never seen.
Who else is in the book?
John Severin did a story.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that his first? It could be his first then.
It could be his first. And Mike Sikowski did a couple stories in it.
Okay. Because here's the story behind this: is it's a lot of early first works of everybody. This was Stan Lee's tryout for John, and a bunch of guys did this and Crime Fighters. So I had to get Crime Fighters. I had that forever. This one took me forever to find. So I'd like another copy, to be honest with you. This is really good, and I want to get it slab, but I want a raw copy too.
And it is a Sid Shores cover.
Yeah, it just looks Sid Shore. Yeah,
Looks like his guys.
yeah.
John Buscema always, in my mind, he looks like Conan because I've never seen a picture of him, and I just always think of him as drawing Conan. So
He's just picture a 6'5", 300-pound behemoth with a beard, glasses, leaning over a table, smoking a cigarette, drawing like this, Italian.
So like a Conan in his later years.
Yeah,
After Conan,
really big dude.
Well, and he had the mustache and the goatee, and he had
Yeah,
he was going gray
goatee.
right here on his sideburns.
yeah, he was. I mean, he got sick real quick, but
is he pass away?
yeah, he passed in 2000, January of 2002, I think.
And what about Sal?
He's still around.
yeah, I mean, he did one of the covers that I remember when I was a kid. I loved this cover, and it was Spectacular Spider-Man 200. It had the foil cover, and that was a Sal Buscema cover. And I always remembered that because I loved that cover, and I knew it was Sal Buscema. I didn't really know anything about artists or anything, but I remembered Sal Buscema was the guy who did this awesome foil Spider-Man cover. And I think it has the Hobgoblin fighting Spider-Man on a foil cover, Spectacular Spidey 200. And that was like, I don't know, that's like 90 or something. But I always loved that cover when I was a kid.
Yeah, Buscema's in this as well. This is 1951, though. Another kind of horror story in this one. Again, I just think it's funny that they start doing these early drawings of crimes and stuff like that. Really good.
What year was that? Sorry.
This is all 51.
Yeah.
Lawbreakers Always Lose is April of 48. Wanted is September of 52. And this Wanted is much earlier. This is 10 months earlier. So
Which issue is that?
this is 39. Strictly Undercover. This is the murder message. Yeah. Charles Malthus. One where they capture somebody.
What's your favorite Buscema cover?
Silver Surfer 4. There's no question.
Yeah,
That one's got a lot of Buscema in it.
me too.
I like Silver Surfer 4 a lot, but I think there's so many good Silver Age covers that are comparable to that. And maybe I'm just outside the loop or on the fringe or something, but there's some covers that Surfer 4 blows away as a consensus, and I think they're pretty equivalent covers. I think Surfer 4 is a good cover, and I think other covers are real good covers too that don't get nearly the attention. And so I can't figure out why other ones aren't as good as Surfer 4, but I agree that Surfer 4 is that good. There's other ones I think are just as good that are not getting the credit. So I don't like.
I mean, I like this one. If you think about rival covers or something like that, this is. I know it's not the first time they met. It's not the second. It's the second in a Fantastic Four, but it's really good. And then
that one and the Submariner one that looks like that are both very
number 7. I have that as well somewhere out and about. But I was doing a Buscema thing because I really like some of his Golden Age stuff, which this is a Golden Age Buscema cover right here. And I'm a big fan of this cover, and I've got a few more coming. Of the Wanted series, I've got 53. I've got 2 copies of this. I think I've got this copy and this copy. Why not?
You're hoarding.
Who did the cover for Surfer 1? I don't think it was Buscema, but I can't remember.
All Surfers 1 through 17 is Buscema.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just 18 wasn't. Yeah. He started Avengers at 41. It's funny. It's a defined irony. He started X-Men at around 40. Not the Frankenstein, which he ended up drawing Frankenstein. He started right after with the heads cover of the Death of Professor X, and he did Avengers. 41 is his first one of that. Those are all his first works in the major Silver Age books. Prior to that, it was a Strange Tales. Prior to that, you have to go all the way back 7 years to 1959 to Tales of Suspense before he did anything in comics. So 59 to 66, he didn't do comics. But from 59 all the way to 48, he did. And that's what I have pretty much 90% of what I've been collecting over here. All his Golden Age stuff kind of goes with the elephants and all the Buscema.
You're saying he didn't do his Surfer was his way back in the Marvel?
This Silver Surfer number 1, this book, where is it? What's my right on here? I was just going over there, right here. So this is 68. Yeah, so Strange Tales 150. Strange Tales 150, the Dum Dum Dugan story in there is his first time he goes back to Marvel.
Oh.
Post Tales of Suspense 3, which was 1959. This Silver Surfer is 68. So, but Buscema earlier stuff. It's funny because I had all Buscema stuff. Now it's all Wrightson down. Well, that's Buscema, and that's Buscema. The rest of it's Wrightson. But yeah, but John's Silver Age stuff, or the Marvel stuff in particular. Love stories and stuff like that. All that started in 66, really. Yeah. I still love, I have a raw copy I read. And
The only Surfers I got.
yeah.
Well, I have the 18 Kirby one.
I have every Silver Surfer of every volume.
Wow.
Not every Thor. I've got about 400 or 500 of the Thors, so I'm like 200 and some odd away. But a lot of the ones I'm missing, nobody wants that shit,
What character did you do?
The premiere issues. If you look at all the 1968, like the big premiere issues, I think Surfer 1 is above all of them, heads and shoulders above the rest.
It's funny because I think Submariner is catching up on it. Iron Man had its run.
Ooh,
But Silver
I like
Surfer
Iron Man
now, and Cap has its moments, but Cap, I think, as much as I'm the big Silver Surfer fan, a big Buscema fan, that Cap 100
Yeah, that's a good one.
That
I
one
like
has a very early Black Panther story, a phenomenal cover. Yes, and
Oh.
and it's the better story of, you know, it's both origins, because every one of those are origins. If you think about it. The Silver Surfer is an origin, that's an origin, the Iron Man is an origin. They're all origins, and
You
of
got Hulk
all of them,
102.
the one that we never really knew was that Captain America, and it ties it all together. Surfer,
Yeah, Hulk 102 is another one, but
Hulk
you know, the
102,
Surfer, I think, is the best cover, and it seems to go for the most.
now it does, yeah.
I think
a lot of
Doctor Strange is a better cover than that Cap, to be honest.
Doctor Strange is its own. It's not, doesn't count as a number one though.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't consider that no.
Well, I think
That
what is
literally,
that?
that literally didn't start over though. They didn't.
It's the first time his full name is on there, though.
Yeah, that's
no,
169, right?
Strange Tales.
That's 169. I think that counts as a premiere issue.
Yeah, it's the same year, same years.
Yeah.
I love that book. Don't get me wrong. I love that book. I love reading that book. I just wish, you know, they kept the origin I like is 115, is Strange Tales 115. And then when they redo it in 169, it's good. Then they redo it again in Marvel Premiere, and it's so much better in Marvel Premiere than anything else. And the Barry Windsor Smith run is so much better. And then Frank Bruner takes over, and it's even better. That's a good one. I think that one's underrated. I think that Nick Fury one, people don't realize, is underrated.
It is. You know what's amazing to me still? I've been saying this for years. The Nick Fury Shield run that Steranko did. You can pick up every single one of those issues in like 9.0 for like $150. It's insane.
Yep.
They're dirt cheap. You can get 7.5s of those for like $40 slab, and it's like people can't give them away, and I don't understand it. The whole
Such
run is like
amazing covers.
Hey, we got a super chat here from the great legend. Wow. Oh, yeah, we got super chat. All the money goes to the Hero Initiative. Yep, those are those. And Iron Man, Submariner.
The Submariner, I don't like the blue on there because
Has to be
it's
SEMA too.
brown on the edges, and it's hard to find a good looking Submariner one for me. I just can't. That blue is not dark
It
enough.
doesn't sustain. You need a copy that sustains that brightness. But it is another Buscema, so I like that.
I'd rather have a really nice Iron Man one than any of these.
Do you consider? But do you put Thor 126 up there with all those?
No.
I
Well,
don't.
the same thing of Strange Tales. It's Journey into Mystery.
Yeah, but this has the same dark as these, so somehow I group it with that. I don't know why.
Yeah, the Thor 126 came before they did. It was almost like a movement, like the big premiere issue movement in the late
Right.
60s.
Yeah, 1968. Yeah.
Thor, technically, Thor 126 would be the same type of book, but it's not in the same movement. It predates that by several years. So I think it's the same type of book, but that big premiere movement that they did, all those books in those couple of years, I think that's a group that I think has a lot of room to grow, and Surfer 1 is at the top of the list. Submariner is towards the bottom of the list, and I think that's a good time to buy it is now.
Yeah, this is what segues into our section now. The golden age, which we are, is the market turn, and I'm agreeing with everything DS is saying. And my theory on this is that it's the market that is going to be going down, or the market I see going down, is a lot of the bad spec or crazy variant. I've seen now a guy who keeps track of something here on variants. He said that 1 in 50s that were going for $100 to $200 8 months ago are going for $5 to $10 today. That's how crazy it's going to get.
What, 1 in 50? What do you mean variants?
Yeah, he goes. That market is just.
Oh, it's even the last couple of years. There's like 1 or 2 variants that hold their value throughout the year. Like, you know, you had the Adam Hughes Thor with Hela on the cover. That one's held its value. But I mean, 90% of the variants that come out, you can get them 6 months later for $5-10.
And here's the thing about the modern books: they put out so many variants and so many covers, or exclusives, that it's in order to find a one that's going to have long-term value. it's such a small percentage compared to like a Bronze Age book where they, they would put out an issue number 26 of whatever, and that's it. So is that going to be a hit or is it not? But when you have 10 different covers coming out for something now, you have to decide, is that issue going to be a hit and which cover is going to be a hit? It's not always the cover A or the variant, and there's just millions. It's like a 1 in a million shot to pick one that's going to have long-term value. So
right, exactly. So now we're going to delve into this back to the Golden Age. I just want to bring up one thing. In DC world, of all those premieres, this is where DC wins, and I will always say this. There is a book that DC has that would fall into that category, but is many years before. But it is the book, it's Showcase 4, is the most undervalued, underappreciated book in good condition you can get.
I don't know about that because it's freaking really expensive.
It's really expensive and well earned. No, I'm saying let's be honest. Compare it to, if you want to compare that book to, let's say, a Marvel book of the same price range.
Well, you AF-15, I guess.
AF-15. I mean, that's the importance of the DC one.
Maybe Hulk.
I mean, it's the action one of the Silver Age. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and it predates the Marvel. Marvel is still dicking around with this pre-hero prototype crap.
Right.
3 months.
The Thorgs, the Throgs, the Forgs.
Yeah, the double consonants where they just basically nailed
mummies that are that 3 times the size of the pyramid there.
Yeah. Marvel was doing that for years after Showcase 4 was already out. Like DC was already going out. But DC had solid superheroes going forward, and Marvel.
I'm trying to think of the next debut they had of the Silver Age.
Justice
would be Showcase 22.
Brave and Bold 28.
Well, no, I'm going to Showcase 22 because I don't consider a team as a first appearance ever.
First Aquaman on the cover.
Right, but that's still more fun. But let's go to the next, the real one.
Well, I mean, one of the next biggest ones is Showcase 8 too. I mean, that's
8.
Showcase 22, I'd say.
I mean, first appearance. I'm trying to think of what's the equivalent when Marvel put all those out. That had to be something that DC didn't. DC did not put out a character right after Green Lantern, a major character until when? I mean, Alec Holland, maybe.
Man,
I'm trying to think. Superboy was way earlier. I'm not going villain route because that's just ridiculous. Because what villain are you going to have? You're going to bring back all the Batman one from the Golden Age?
What about Sergeant Rock?
He's a Golden Age guy, though.
That was Silver Age, Sergeant Rock. But I think it was before Fantastic Four #1 anyway. So
yeah. I'm trying to think. There isn't a DC.
Adam Strange.
Who was before Green Lantern and Showcase?
Yeah, I was gonna say between Hal Jordan and Alec Holland. I'm not saying House of Mystery.
Well, you had what was the first appearance of Adam? Was in
Adam was 34.
34. Yeah.
I was just going to bring him up.
I mean, what about
5?
Hawkins not major, but
I'm trying to.
I liked him, but he's not a major character. Yeah, Rip Hunter
was kind of something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting Darkseid, which I didn't want to go villain route because it has to be because that's not what Marvel did that, and I honestly think that that's the second rejuvenation of Marvel, but it worked in a weird way. How many of those titles crashed afterwards? Silver Surfer didn't last long. Doctor Strange didn't last long. They didn't last as long as the same continuous ones. I mean, Doctor Strange went to Marvel feature after that. Yeah, literally lasted from 169 to 183 and then switched to the next one. Silver Surfer ended at 18, and they tried everything with that to make that good. Put Spider-Man in there and then brought back Mephisto at the end. It still didn't work, Human Torch, you tried the crossovers, didn't work. Silver Surfer was gone after that. Never to be seen in a title again until 82 for one issue.
What about the Legion of Superheroes?
I don't count teams.
The only other one I would think of would
I never count teams because you could change teams. I never count teams because teams don't teams change names and change title. That's the first appearance of the West Coast Avengers on the third, on the left side of this, on the northern coast. It's ridiculous. It gets out of control. Teams, forget teams.
Brave and the Bold 34.
Brave and the Bold 34 is first Adam Strange, right?
Nope, that's first Silver Age Hawkman. I mean, look the same, but dramatically different.
Oh,
RG.
yeah. Hawkman 4, first Zatanna, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of
It's got to be Justice, the Brave and the Bold.
Marvel did at that point. Because I'm trying to think of in the Golden Age, we had the same thing happen. Same thing happened in the Golden Age between everybody. You had the same titles there, and then all these new characters came in.
What about Deadman?
I don't count those guys. Shadow. I don't count any of that stuff.
You know what I think is a good one?
Spectres. Golden Age to me will always be Golden Age.
Showcase 60.
I was gonna say I love the book. I absolutely agree with you. That's a great book, great storyline. It's so much better than the Golden Age one, but
Yeah.
Spectre will always be Golden Age to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
It's
one's
just one of those things of like,
a nice grade too. I finally found one that I think is like fine plus
yeah.
ish, maybe a 7 on it, but so tough to find a good copy. The Deadman one too, Strange Adventures 205, such a tough book to find in a nice grade. And people ask a lot, but they're not out there. I don't know if they go for a lot but people ask a lot, and they're hard to find above the fine range.
I was gonna say that they say Hawkman, yeah, different character. I agree with that, different, but so
Spectre
yeah, I don't
is
know.
always this.
It's very weird with me with the Silver Age. This because one of my favorite characters in the DC world is a villain by the name of Solomon Grundy, and his first Golden Age book is so much better than his first Silver Age book. But the character is so much better in the Silver Age than he is.
His first Golden Age book is so ridiculously expensive.
I'm not saying I have one. I'm just saying it's a beautiful book. But yeah,
I'd go this one for Spectre.
yeah. Is that first or second?
It's third.
Third. Oh, first is
52.
More Fun 52.
and then
But I'd rather have this. I love this cover.
what's the crossover he's in right after that?
So good. I don't know. Crossover.
I don't know if is it a fun comic or is it a I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah, see this.
Can you imagine?
Boy's right. Yeah, DC Golden Age, since it's undervalued, and that's perfect segue for the rest of the show. Why am I finding this as a buying opportunity right now, especially for what I consider some of the key names and key runs? I'm not saying Fiction House. That's always been cheap and stuff. What I found to come down in price, and I've been watching the market very carefully, is why I'm buying a lot of DC books now, is because I do see DC books to be maintaining a price that didn't go up or down, and they started to come down. And for example, this was one I picked up, and I've got a few more I'm working on right now. I do see some of those as getting there. I do see some books getting ridiculously high on some recent auctions, but we'll see how some things turn out. But in my opinion right now, yes, it has affected the Golden Age. The downturn in the market has affected the Golden Age, and we did talk about it on the CGC boards. I think it's not in a bad way. It's in a good way. It's a buyer's time, especially for, I mean, you're not going to get the big movement. You're not going to go get a book that was $500 last week is not $5 this week. What I'm saying is that the race to buy books might be less people right now. I would say I don't think the market's going to go down. I just think there is more supply now than there is demand. How about that?
Yeah, and when you get into big keys, not that, people like us are stupid with our money, but there's an absolute sense to it. If you're spending $500 on a comic book, it doesn't matter if that's a lot or a little to somebody, but $500 is $500.
Right.
And in life, it buys, a good amount of stuff, but it's not killer amount. But when you're spending 10, 15 grand for a low grade AF-15, that's a lot of money, and people would spending that much money. Any of us would too. We want to make a good investment. We don't pull triggers. We don't make impulse buys. We want a good investment because now that's a major chunk of money. Then you get into All-Star 8s. high grade Hulk ones, I mean, you're talking up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. That market is down.
Yes.
The bigger the book, the more it's going to hurt, it seems like, because real chunks of change people are not wanting to put into these books at these prices right now. And you're seeing AF-15 prices are down, and they have been plateaued or down over the last 3 years. Hulk 181 for the Bronze Age, that book has, I sold my copy.
I think it's capped at every level.
$5,000, and you couldn't even get $5,000 at 85 now.
No.
I sold mine over almost 2 years ago at this point. So,
I've seen it affect the big ones, and that's exactly where I've seen it in the golden age. What I've seen is an opportunity now of a lot more dealers are willing to make deals now. And I've been getting contacted when, hey, are you still interested in this? I'm like, nowhere near that price, or, hey, I found this, and like they're a big time dealers that would brag about their book is now like, okay. And this is whether it be, these are big time books. I'm talking Showcase 4s and stuff like that, where it has affected that book, and it has affected a Showcase 4. It has affected Wiz ones, and I think it's going to affect some other books real soon.
Well,
And
they talk about strong hands.
I fear for those that have jumped on that Werewolf by Night 32 ridiculous bandwagon.
yeah, I mean, you got to be careful with. Look, it's like any other market.
Yeah, it's up to you. It's up to you. But, yeah.
Any market, when you have the price of the commodity skyrocket over a short time, nothing can maintain that.
Right.
And you look at the charts on some of these books, and they look reasonable. And then you look at ones like Tomb of Dracula 10, Werewolf by Night 32, Hulk 181, and the line goes over, and then it spikes. It's this huge spike. It can't keep going. It has to come back down. And you're seeing a lot, and there's so much volatility in those that if you are trying to get into a Werewolf by Night 32 as an investment, you can wait until it comes down. You got plenty of time.
Yep.
If you want it for the PC, also you can wait until it comes down.
That's the best part about a PC.
But it's so volatile, and I mean, there's a lot of traders. Like I do this too. I buy and sell quick a lot, and I'm sort of like stock trading with comics. And you can do that with these big keys, but sometimes you get burnt because you get in at the wrong price, and then you're trying to sell it on the bottom of the wave, and nobody wants it. And it's, there's a lot of break evens going on, and people doing stuff like what I'm doing on some of those books.
Yeah, whatever.
ETA Nick talks about it a lot with the strong hand, weak hand effect.
Yeah,
The-
Nick is one of those guys that we should definitely have on the show sometime.
If you have the strong hands being the people, the investors, the people, the big dealers, the ones who are like they've been buying, trading all the time. They're not like this new flipper who's been making lots of money over the past few years, and then they keep using that money to like buy more and more, and they think they got it, and now before they know, they're stuck with all these big Werewolf by Nights and 30 copies of like FF49 or whatever. And then, what happens when they lose their job, their normal job, those are just going to go. And because those Silver Age and some of the modern, more Bronze Age, there's so many of them, you're going to have to undercut a little bit to get that money quick, and then everyone's going to try to undercut each other, and those are the weak hands. Whereas some of the dealers will just, especially the more rare books, they'll just kind of keep it.
Yep.
And they won't.
That's exactly what.
They'll just wait.
Yeah, you know what I'm doing when I send books in, Bronze Age books. I send a lot of them in CGC. I mean, a lot compared to the other stuff I send in. But what I'm starting to do is when I get back ones of a certain grade with white pages, I'm putting them in a box. I'm not flipping them then. I just call in and I'll get one back. I got a 165, not a huge book. I got a 7.0, but with white pages. I put that in the box. I'm not going to flip that. I'll hold that for a minute. But the rest of them in and out of. But if you really want to find something to distinguish your copy on the market for investment value, you want a high grade, but not too high. You want like an 8.0, 8.5 for bronze, maybe 9.0. And you want white pages and good centering. There's ways to get the book in the same grade other people are getting, but set yourself above theirs as an investment value. Because when people are trying to sell, and if the book, ideally you want to buy a book and have it be worth lots of money someday. Well, when it's worth lots of money, you have savvy buyers. You want your book to be the one they pick among all the others, instead of just buying the grade. So you can still pick the right book in this market for what it is. Like
that's the investment grade that we were talking about in the golden age, where there is an investment grade in golden age books, but in reality we're saying everything in the golden age is an investment because it's all what you want, and that's what all this stuff is. Now the best thing, what he's talking about, what DS was talking about, is the investment grade, and that's that point in ages when books become more desirable, or what's called the sweet spot, the buy and sell spot, where they fluctuate the most. 9.8s tend to be a little bit pain in the ass in the Bronze Age. You know, your 9.8 holder of Conan 1 is holding out. I'm holding out, and I'm going to keep all my 9.8s. But your 9.0, 9.2, 9.4s, they're trading left and right, and they're fluctuating right now a lot, and that's a good thing. Your 7.0s, your 8.5, they're your 9.4s all the way down. They're all trading up and down, and that's there. He's right about the white pages. The problem you're going to have on the white pages is on your DC books of that era are notoriously crappy paper.
And the golden age, there's a spot where it's bad to sell, and I find that's 4 to like, what's like 3 to like 6, because it's like too expensive for the entry level people, and the real rich guys, it's too low grade for them. So if you're buying, you can get a great deal on those, but selling, you need a lot more patience and time. So if you're a weak hand, not a strong hand, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, for golden age, I like buying 4.0, give or take, that present really well and are good looking, rock solid mid grade copies.
That's what I am.
Hold them for a longer period of time than some of the bronze and silver stuff.
But hard to sell fast.
They are hard to sell fast, yeah. But those, I don't intend to sell those fast. But yeah, for golden age, I love picking up low grade stuff. Like I had a 1.8. The stuff that sells the best for me, like golden age, is the low grade stuff. 1.8, 2.5. That stuff flies. Or if you have a high grade,
$200, $300, it's easy.
Yeah,
I've got more offers for.
Just can't win. The skull cover, I had like a 6.5 on that or something, and that's a higher grade for that book, and that went quick.
This is an example of the best grade.
Yeah, that's a good liquid grade.
Like liquid gold right here. Yep. It's the lowest you can go at this awesome presentable. You're gonna have so many people competing for this.
Is that should have a CVA sticker if they was smart. Add another $5,000 to the top, to the total.
Yeah, I go for 4 to 5 range for my golden age sort of like keepers, which nothing for everything. I like 4 to 5s is the best because they're very movable down the road for profit. They seem to appreciate good, but they're not easy to sell. But I feel like no golden age is really easy to sell.
Right. That's what I was going to say. You're talking to somebody who entry level come to me with elephants, right? They come to me with them and they tell me, "Hey, I found this," and they automatically assume that I either don't have. I'm like, "Oh, I have it. I have a lot of them." But it's funny because they're like, "Hey, do you know?" And I said, "But do you realize that's not just an elephant cover? It's also this, and this." He goes, "Yeah." And it's just one of those situations where he says, "But do you know how hard it is to sell some of these books? I don't have a lot of jungle buyers. Or I don't have a lot of X buyers." And he goes, "I try to get as much pre-code horror as possible." You know, and one of the things that Rick says, it's the artist. If you don't know, it's very much a Schoenberg Baker. That stuff isn't going anywhere. That stuff trades like paper. But I mean, it's ridiculous that it's so great that the golden age is just, it's a kind of a buyers / sellers market in a way that sellers still have a lot of the books, but the buyers are right now coming back and saying, "I'll wait. It's going to affect you too. I'll wait." I mean, I know I'm waiting because I'm waiting for cons to deal from my books going forward, because all the books I only want to buy in person. I'm not eBaying these things,
One other
Keys are your best bet.
that I'm looking for right now. An Adventure 34, which good luck. That's one. I'm looking for some very rare, a very rare early Disney in very good condition Disney 17. That's a Golden Age one I'm looking for. I'm looking for there's a few other higher end books I'd like to find eventually that are from the first Conan, from the Mexican book from 1952. If I could find that one, would be a dream. Dr. Fate cover. Again, some of these rare books here, but I want to do these in person because my best bet with Golden Age. I mean, yeah, every once in a while I hit a home run with one of these. Yeah, that's a good Dr. Fate. Yeah. Which one's that? That's
56.
I was gonna say 56, right? Is that
His first cover.
right? And and the 160. Do you have 60?
No.
Oh, I heard that's a good
Got
book.
this guy.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a few other books, but Adventure 34 is one I'm going to search for all year. I actually have my eyes on a few books right now. I do want a Web of Horror 3. DS, no, that's a Wrightson. There are 3 books missing from my Wrightson collection. That's one of them that I still haven't found the one. And I always want to do it in person. That's one of those that it's a pain in the neck to do on eBay, because I know DS got lucky with his, and not lucky, but great with his. I mean, he got a beautiful presenting 7.0, right? Was it a 7.0?
of which one?
Web of Horror 3.
I don't have a Web of Horror 3. Oh wait, yeah, the Web of Horror 3. Yeah, it's a 3.0 or 7.0, and it came out for white pages too.
Unbelievable book. I mean,
I didn't press it or anything.
and it's not old. I mean, it's from the 60s, but it's 1969, right? 68, 69. Yeah. It is.
I think.
It is just a hard one to find in a good grade because it's such a dark cover. It's Wrightson's first cover for a comic book, but technically that's his first cover, and I think that's the find of the find, because there's probably less than 100 of these things. Right there, Paul, you saw that in person, right? This Conan from when he was 17. Yeah. Did I show you that one?
You know, the whole like recession or whatever it is that we're having, I still
Correction. It's called the correction.
how it affects some of these Golden Age books though, because like last year I started looking for right around this time, and it took me, there was only one that I've seen that was complete, and I wanted, it was this Marvel 3. I have still not seen another complete issue for sale anywhere, and it's been a year now. So it's like, I'm not sure, you know, if it was really this crazy, like, oh God, everyone's selling their stuff. Like, I would see more of these available. There's nothing.
There's Adventure 34 is the one. Yeah, never seen it in person. Or I have, but I don't believe him that he said me he had it and he didn't have it. So I don't know. There was another. Oh, this is one thing here. I want to bring up the Golden Age book. I just want to show this here. The Silver Age. This was one of my favorite covers here to show the. This is a red cover here. This is one where color means everything for this book.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't say this was higher than a 4.5, but it presents way better. This is a sweet spot for this book. This is like a, but it's not a, but I'm saying of this era, this would be, if it was a key. It's not a key. It's just a cool book. For me, it's a book I like. I'm thinking of a key. That would be a sweet spot, a book that presented well, that had a little rough spine, I guess, so to speak, you know. Would you agree with that on your Silver Age? If it presented really well with somewhat of a little rough spine. I have a 5.5 Journey to Mystery 85. I consider that to be the perfect grade for that book, which is the first Loki.
I like books like this where they have there's no real big creases. This is by no means like a high grade. There's no real color breaking creases.
Yeah, it's presentable. You want a presentable book. And grade is almost, the presentability is, if you're selling or flipping, if you're trying to move books.
Right.
Presentability is more important than grade, because I would rather sell a presentable, good-looking 5.0 than a 8.5 with a corner crease, because people buy an 8.5, they're like, does that have a corner crease? Can I get closer pictures of that? Is there a chip off that spine, a tiny little millimeter chip off that spine? Can you send me a closer picture? And then they pass. But you got a 5.0 that looks great, it's money all day. So it's presentability for flipping is more important than grade, really. As long as you can make money on all of
grade, where you get a lot of choice. Buyer's choice.
This is one here. It's a 5.5. I think it's undergraded, but you can see here, it only thing, a little bit of tough right there in the corner right there.
Yeah, but what's the grade on that?
5.5.
Yeah, I mean that looks good for a 5 compared to other 5.5s. You're at the upper echelon of 5.5.
Right. Now I have another, and that's personal collection, right? Keeping with the same theme.
Wait a minute, can you show that one more time?
Sure.
Is it the ink on the balloon that makes it down or something? That is weird.
No, it's just the I don't know. There's some spine. Spine isn't the best shape.
Like on
the blue word bubbles here on the spine right here. The frightful Filbert's Frightful Future.
You talking about the one that where Loki's talking?
Yeah.
Oh, that's part of a date stamp smudge.
Oh.
That doesn't have any markings on it. Just
I wondered what it was.
Third appearance of Thor, first appearance of Loki, Heimdall, Asgard, and Odin.
What is he on? I always wondered. Is it just some Asgard building?
No, that's on Earth. It's not on Asgard. Asgard's in there, but it's not really featured in there. Now this presents really well for the grade, right? Just look at it. I mean, other than the sun bleach, but
what grade is it? Yeah.
Oh, that was real good for 1.5. Yeah.
Right. Not judge a book by its cover. Its back covers beat the shit. But it presents really well for the grade. That's what you have that advantage in the Silver Age, where that comes into play more, I think, than the Golden Age, to be honest with you. But in the Golden Age, grades count, man. Grades count. I mean, presentation counts.
I've come up with a couple factors for Golden Age that I think are key for investing in Golden Age. Number one is make sure that it's a key of some kind, because there's a lot of books out there that are really nice looking. They're rock solid, but they don't have any key about them. They're not major covers. They're not character keys. So you want to have a key. You want to have something somewhat rare, and that can be rare in grade or rare overall. But rarity counts a lot more in Golden Age than any other era. So you want rarity. And then you want something that is going to remain hot, sort of. There's like collectors always, like books you always hear people like, this is on my want list for this year. This is a book I want. There's some books that are just always on want lists every year, all the time. They're always, and they may not be huge books, but they're always hot. It's not like, I don't know, like a Tech 359. That's a hot book, but it's not, it's up and down for as far as hotness, but it is a key. Right. So, but a book like an all new 8 that I have, that Schomburg cover,
yep,
that is rare. That is always highly sought after. It's a key Schomburg cover, and you want it also to be presentable. So I think those are the factors I look for Golden Age for investing in. There's a lot of Golden Age that's not really that rare, but they're awesome, and they're hard to move sometimes because there's a lot of them out there. But if you have a less awesome one with a higher degree of rarity and really presents well, you've got a much better investment, in my opinion.
Although rare like this, so this is rare.
That's rare.
It's not a key. So like if the market, say, you know, it gets real bad, like 10 times as bad as it is now, this it might retain a lot of value because it's rarity, but it would take me forever to find the right pair.
You wouldn't be able to find that.
But eventually I would, as long as you could afford to hold it, you could. It's just like if you bring this to a comic shop, no one would care. They'd be taking these all night long.
I mean,
but that Marvel is it's really rare and it's really sought after, and it's not really a key, but it's such a low numbered issue that it's key-ish. So that one I think is yeah, I think you're good with that. The rarity's off the scale for that one compared to how sought after it is too. Those are off the charts.
But I'd be able to sell this a million times faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's also that's going to be subject a lot more to the market fluctuations too, though. Like market crash
right now at a peak, though.
The other one will.
I mean, one of the things that you might want to, if you're thinking about investing in the golden ages, don't. But if you're interested in buying books in the golden age and wanting to retain their value, we talk about sweet spot and everything else. One of the things you might want to consider is if you don't want to lose value, the key is the great idea of ideas. That's exactly right. But also, be comfortable, be happy with what you get where that wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, if you're upset that if let's say I didn't like Thor, and I think this is a spec book because the 5th appearance of the Wrecker is so great because he shows up in the new Thor. Actually, I was reading back this just because of the new Thor, the new Doctor Strange book that's out by Mark Waid. Phenomenal book, by the way. You should read that Doctor Strange book. It's really good. Anyway, Fights the Wrecker. If I bought this and didn't like it, and I was upset I bought it because I paid, let's say, $25 and think it was worth $100. Now it's only worth $5. That's on me. I wouldn't blame comic books. I don't blame the industry. I don't blame dealers or sellers. That's your own thing for thinking a piece of paper is worth more than what the cover price was at some point. You know, it really is just a 12-cent piece of paper. It's what you want to pay for it. So, in reality, I like this book anyway. It's a good book. I'm not knocking the speculation, Mark. I'm just saying, if you really want to be concerned about what you're buying, then enjoy what you're buying. Makes it hurt a little less. If you hate Wolverine, don't go out and buy a Hulk 181.
You like the book
to flip, and I'll tell you, they fall into two categories, and I try to make one category bigger. They fall into break evens and profits, and I try to make the profitable books outnumber the break even books. You know, occasionally there's a loss, but I mean, I don't lose money on books very often. It's usually a loss for me is like I buy it for $4.50 and I sell it for $4.25. You know, but that's like in the break even, because if I sell for $4.75, I consider that a break even. I try to make those a less amount of what I do than the profits. That's all you got to do. But I mean, it's tough in this market, man. I'll tell you, because I have books I'm sending to CGC and I'm watching the GPA go down.
Who's in the chat?
Like by the time I get it back, I can't get what I thought out of it.
And someone on ETA's marketplace brought him. They mentioned sending it to CGC at a certain time because of the value, and it was interesting because he was talking about how, you know, if the market is indeed going way down, then you don't want to send it to CGC now because you'll be paying more to have it graded than you will if it, you know.
In other words, if it's a $1,000 book, now it's a $500 book.
Yeah, which is interesting.
I mean, yeah, I don't grade a lot of my books. I do. I mean, I like to grade a few of them. There are a few I'm grading now. I'm setting off. I mean, I've got well over 200 graded books. So let's be honest, I like some graded books, more preservation. But there's some books that I think people are getting graded now. Sometimes people are rushing to get them graded, to get them back before the market tanks, and you're just crazy, man. I mean, I hear people talking about certain books. I'm not going to say any of them, but saying that they're overvalued. I'm like, every book is overvalued. It's okay. This happens. It's a correction. I mean, I don't think it's a downturn. Comic shops aren't going to close. They got Magic and everything else going on. And
Yeah.
for my personal collection, this helps a little bit. I get more dealers wanting to do it, especially in the original art world. That's been affected a little bit more. I think that's been a good move. So
Yeah, if you've got rock solid books that have declined in value recently, you're good. Just wait and they'll
hold on. Yeah.
rebound. There's a steady trend line over time that pretty much trumps all. And if you have solid stuff, you can sit on it and the value will come back that you've lost recently. And if you're trying to flip books, you just work in the system you've got. You know,
Yeah.
it was worth
It's just a different.
now it's worth 500. Well, instead of paying 700 for it, now pay 300 for it. You
Right.
can work the flipping in the system. And for stuff that you're holding that may be down, just hold it and it'll go back up. It's just a matter of time. You got to be patient. But people start to panic, and that makes it worse out there in the market when people panic to sell because stuff's going down, and then you send it to Comic Link, and then there's 5 copies in the auction. I mean, that hurts all 5 of those copies.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, be patient because markets go up and down all the time, but you can still get in and out and make profits no matter what the market's like.
Right.
It's at different price points.
And
I think I don't want to pick on anyone, but I feel like when I see like 50 different dealer flipper types always showing stuff like this, like their stockpiles, then I feel like that's a little risky. Just me, because if 5 or 10 of those guys have to get out, then that book is just gonna go way down.
There's a guy on Instagram he's been continually over the last year posting pics of his Hulk 181s, and he's got like 30 copies or something, all slabbed, all different grades. Like last year, he starts posting these, or I started noticing them or whatever. And he's not the only one. This is just an example. I'm not picking on him if he's watching, but I mean, that's a killer collection to have. All those books are worth a lot of money. But it's dangerous.
If you can do that, then that means it's not very rare at all.
Yeah, it's not, but I mean, you got to diversify. Also, you don't want to put all your money into 30 copies of Hulk 181 because then you're dependent on Hulk 181. So yeah, keep a couple copies of Hulk 181. But you know, I don't want to keep more than 2 copies of something, and I would diversify. You know, have some silver, have some bronze, have some gold, have a variety of books because the market jumps around. But if you've got a ton of money tied up in all DC gold, yeah, sometimes it might be great, and other times not so much. If you have 35 Hulk 181s that you still have, you didn't sell last year, you've lost a lot of value on that. A lot of value has been lost on that set.
And you can control the rarer books easier. So some of these dealers, if there's only like 10, 20 of these books ever circulating, and they have 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and they're like, oh man, I see the price maybe dropping, they will bid up because they can keep track. You know, if there's like an Action 2 or like an Action 7 or something like that, or a Cap 1 or whatever, and it's starting to like, whoa, this is going low. I have 4 of these in the bank vault. Like, I'd rather buy another one right now and have that, and now I control 5 of them versus see that sell for super cheap. And they will do that to kind of keep their investments safe. But if you can't do that on a Hulk 181, I mean, there's just way too many of them. You can't even barely do that on a Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll do something similar. It's called averaging down. When you're in the market, if you buy something and then the price goes down, you can buy more on the way down, and your average cost basis in each item becomes lower over time. But at a certain point, you're starting to stock up on a falling commodity, so you've got to be careful with it. But I average down. I'll buy a book, and if it's not the grade I thought, or the price starts to drop, I will pick up another one, and then I'll have 2, which the average cost now is lower than the high. It drops the high one down, so I have an average cost that's much lower for these. And then when I sell them, I'm shooting for that to get above the average. Even though in absolute terms, I've lost money overall on the first one, I didn't because of the averaging down. So I'll average down if something's falling. But
if there's 100 of those on the census, you're starting to control it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a rare book, yeah.
All right. So a couple of housekeeping. Excuse me. Tonight after Golden Guys, we have X-Men Core is going live after this, so stick around for that. For your X-Men, want to thank everybody for coming on board. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being here. Let's do the outro and then stick around for the X-Men Core. Okay, so let's do this and talk to you guys later.
Bye, guys.